She said it like a warning, but it sounded more like a challenge. And for the first time in months, I didn't try to calm her down. I just said one word, and everything that followed changed both our lives. My name is Carter Whitfield. I live in Greenwich, Connecticut, in a quiet neighborhood where people don't raise their voices and problems are usually handled behind closed doors. At least, that's how it's supposed to be. I met Sloan Harrington at a private charity gala in Manhattan. She walked in late, wearing confidence like it was something she had inherited, not earned. People turned their heads when she passed, and she didn't acknowledge a single one of them. She didn't need to. Sloan came from a world where attention was currency, and she had more than enough of it. Her father owned a venture capital firm. Her mother chaired boards and hosted dinners where people spoke in quiet voices about powerful decisions. And Sloan moved through that world like she had memorized every rule and rewritten half of them. At first, I thought her intensity was ambition. I thought her bluntness was honesty. I thought her control was just confidence shaped by privilege. I was wrong, but not immediately. The first few months were magnetic. She was decisive. She planned everything. She chose the restaurants, the trips, even the conversations. And I let her, because it felt easier than pushing back. Because part of me admired how certain she always seemed. But certainty can turn into something else when it goes unchecked. It started with small things. She would correct how I spoke in front of her friends. She would interrupt me mid-sentence and finish my thoughts in a way that made me sound less capable. At first, I laughed it off. Then I started noticing how often it happened. Then I stopped laughing. She began making decisions that included me without asking me. She signed us up for events. She committed weekends. She rearranged plans like my time was just an extension of hers. And every time I tried to push back, she had a response ready. "You're overthinking it. This is better for us. You'll thank me later." I stopped arguing because every argument felt like a losing game. But something inside me was shifting. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a door slowly closing. The turning point didn't come from one big moment. It came from accumulation. Then one night, everything reached the surface. We were at her apartment in Manhattan. It overlooked the city in a way that made everything feel smaller, including the people inside it. She was pacing. Her phone was in her hand, and she was speaking quickly, irritated about something related to her father's firm. I waited. I always waited. When she finally hung up, she turned to me like I was the next problem in line. "You didn't confirm the Aspen trip details." I looked at her. "I told you I had a work commitment that week." She didn't pause. "You can move it." I felt something in my chest tighten. "No, I can't." That's when her expression changed. It wasn't anger right away. It was disbelief. Like I had broken an unspoken rule. "Carter, this isn't optional. It is for me." Silence filled the room, but it wasn't calm. It was charged. Her voice dropped slightly. "If you can't handle my world, then leave." She said it slowly, deliberately, like she had said it before, maybe not to me, but to someone else. And for the first time, I didn't try to fix it. I didn't negotiate. I didn't explain. I just said, "Okay." She blinked. Not dramatically. Just once, like her brain needed a second to process what I had said. "Before we go further, think about this for a second. If someone you cared about gave you an ultimatum like that, would you fight to stay, or would you walk away right there?" Because in that moment, I realized something I hadn't fully accepted before. I wasn't in a relationship. I was in a structure where my role had already been defined, and I had agreed to it without realizing. So I stood up. I walked to the hallway. I picked up my coat. She didn't stop me immediately. That's what made it feel even more real. Because part of her believed I wouldn't actually leave. "Carter." Her voice came from behind me, sharper now. "You're being dramatic." I didn't turn around. "No, I'm being clear." I walked out of her apartment, and then I did something she didn't expect. I locked everything down. Not emotionally. Practically. The next morning, I called my financial advisor. We had joint investment access tied to a property we were planning to purchase together. I revoked it. Cleanly. Legally. No confrontation. No announcement. Just documentation. Then I canceled the Aspen reservations that were booked under my name. I notified the concierge service that all future bookings required direct confirmation from me. I changed the access permissions on shared accounts. Every step was deliberate. Every step was quiet, because for the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was deciding. 2 days later, she called. I let it ring. She texted, "You're overreacting." I didn't respond. Another message came. "This isn't how adults handle things." Still, I said nothing. Then her tone shifted. "Call me." I waited another day before responding. "Everything is handled on my end." That's all I wrote. Her reply came within seconds. "What does that mean?" I didn't answer, because by then, I understood something she hadn't expected. Control doesn't disappear when you take it away from someone. It transfers back to where it was supposed to be. A week later, we met in person. Not by chance. By arrangement. Public place. Neutral ground. She looked the same. Composed. Polished. But there was something underneath it. Not vulnerability. Not exactly. More like disruption. "You went too far." That's what she said first. I nodded slightly. "I went far enough." She leaned forward. "You didn't have to make this complicated." I met her eyes. It was already complicated. She didn't argue immediately. That was new. Instead, she asked something quieter. "Is this really how you want to end it?" And that question carried more weight than anything she had said before, because it wasn't about control anymore. It was about consequence. "So let me ask you something here. Do you think Sloan realized what she had done too late? Or was this just another attempt to regain control in a different way?" Because from where I was sitting, it wasn't entirely clear. I took a breath. "I didn't end it when you said that." She frowned slightly. "You did." "No." I shook my head. "You ended it when you decided my place in your life didn't include my voice." That was the first time she didn't have an immediate response. And in that silence, something shifted again. Not dramatically, not visibly, but enough. We didn't yell. We didn't argue. We just acknowledged what had already happened. And then we left. Separately. No closure speech. No final declaration. Just distance. Weeks passed. Then months. And eventually, what had felt intense became something else. Clear. Not easy, but clear. Because sometimes, the most important decision isn't what you say in the moment. It's what you do after it. And for me, locking everything wasn't about punishment. It was about boundaries I should have set long before that night.